Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today's guest is one of my buddies from the Dames. For those of you who don't know what the Dames is, it is a 6, 7, and 8-figure group of women entrepreneurs run by Megan Conter, and it really is a fabulous group. We don't ascribe to the JV affiliate, that whole concept that's out there. We are really about power partnering with other women and getting to know those women. So we're building a connected community, not only of business associates, but of friends as well. So before we get started, run over, grab your free copy of Breakthrough Author Magazine. You can find it at breakthroughauthormagazine.com. Every month you will have it delivered into your inbox. We don't do any solicitation. We don't try to sell you stuff over there. It's just really a good place to find information if you're thinking about writing, building an author platform, or publishing a book. So today's guest, I'm super excited, is Jennifer Locklin, and she is the Undercover Speaker, adding unexpected fun and laughter to meetings, trainings, and events. That's it. I'm going to let Jennifer tell you the rest. So hang tight. Here's Jennifer. Jenny, welcome. It's nice to have you.
Nice to be here, Juliet.
I'm so excited to talk about today's topic because I know so many of our clients that are authors work with speaking coaches, and it seems like they have the same pattern for the speech and the same thing you do, and they don't add humor in like you do, and all of the things that really keep a crowd interested. So how did you get started with all of this?
Well, as just like any other position, business, if you're in something and there's a challenge, right, you want to fix it. And so what was happening was, so I do speaking, I use a lot of humor. And what was happening is when I would go to women's groups or companies, they would say, okay, get ready. You're going to laugh so hard. This is so hilarious. Or maybe they would promote it so that people would come, right? We're going to have so much laughter, so much comedy. This is hilarious, whether it was virtual or in person. And then what was happening is, you know how it is with virtual. Sometimes people aren't totally paying attention. Well, maybe they left and they were thinking, well, that wasn't really that funny. And it was almost like disappointing. Right? It's all about expectations. It's like saying, this is the best book you have ever read. It is hilarious. Oh my gosh. It's so, right? So you're expecting going into this book thinking you are just going to be peeing in your pants laughing. So it's that expectation. And so that was not working. And I thought, how can I fix this? How can I still add humor? How can I get everyone to have a good time and yet not expect that pressure? And so I came up with what's called the Undercover Speaker. And what that means is it's unexpected laughter. So I get introduced, depending on the audience, as an industry expert, or maybe an award-winning specialist, or a raving fan client. All right. So whether it's virtual, in person, the people are like, okay, an ordinary speaker. Okay. Who's this lady? I once was a Cigna Health representative. So you can imagine how excited the crowd was to listen to me, and
No.
and I was there telling them, that this year you're going to be rewarded when you can earn points for donating blood, sweat, and sperm. And they were like, wait, what? The point is, I would be introduced as some kind of an expert, and the audience would believe that that's really who I was, because it was an impressive bio. And as you know, right, as an author, right, you're the expert. So if you're the expert, people believe you. It's amazing what people will believe.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so that's kind of how, so that's what I would do. And then I string them along, the audience. I say all kinds of crazy stuff. Now you're probably wondering, like, what kinds of crazy stuff? Well, depending on the audience, if it's accountants, I'm there as a raving fan client, just want to let you know. Thanks to all of you, I have not paid taxes since 2018. I had no idea I could have 2 sets of books. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. I went into this whole, and the owner of this firm was very ethical, super, just the most amazing woman. And the accountants were looking side-eyed at each other like, which one of you did this with this woman, right? So it's so out of control, so over the top. And then finally, we let them know they have been punked, right? This was a setup. And why? Why would we do this to them? Well, and then the laughter, then like the like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad this was not true. And then we tell them the real reason that we did this is because having fun, lightening up, not taking ourselves so seriously actually helps you be more productive, happier at work. And what the best part is the after effect. Like once the call is over, they're talking about this, they're laughing about this, and it's a great connection. You know, if you're an author who uses humor, you know that humor connects you as the author. If you use humor, it gets your reader to connect with you, right? And so same thing as a speaker, it connects you with your audience and it keeps the audience connected as well. So I don't know, does that make sense so far, what it is and why I started it?
Yes, and I love it because you guys, there is nothing worse than meeting an author in person and seeing like this personality in the book, and then the person doesn't match up. So I love this because for someone like me, I'm like, I say that sarcasm is my second language. I'm fluent in it. And you're going to get that in my books. You're going to get that in my talk. I actually had a talk a while back where I told people for the Q&A, I was like, I don't really know anything about the topic, but fire away. Which, people were like, what, wait. So I love this approach. So tell me, when you did this, have you had any comedic training? Because I know our friend Jen Koken actually trained, and a bunch of people in the Dames. By the way, Jenny is a Dame. They trained to be comedians for their talks. Did you do any of that?
Yeah, you know what? Let me just jump in real quick with what you just said. That was really powerful when you said about you meet the author and then they don't match up. It's the same thing with speaking, right? Speaking and writing a book, it's not a performance. You're not trying to be someone else, right? It should be genuine from your heart. So when you speak, a lot of times people think that it's a performance. They have to be someone else, and then that is not going to make you feel comfortable when you're speaking. And that's the whole point. And so that should hopefully, as you're an author and you're thinking, I want to do more speaking, but I'm really uncomfortable speaking to an audience, that's okay. You can actually bring that up. We can talk about that later. Bring that up in the introduction.
Yeah.
Juliet, she's an author. She's written, 3 books, and she coaches others. What she's not is a speaker. She is not a, keynote speaker. This is not something that she feels comfortable with, but what she has learned and the knowledge and the expertise that she has on this subject, that's going to make up for, so if you sense that she's nervous or she's speaking quickly, okay, the fact that she has all this information, that's the most important part. Like you can bring that up in the introduction. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you just said.
Well, and that's interesting because even though, and I don't know about you, but even though I am a seasoned speaker, I still get nervous at the beginning every time. And then like I stand there, my legs wobble, you probably can't tell, but, and then all of a sudden it'll click, like it's fine. Yeah. And it's always been like that. But I was used to pitching and advertising. And my first probably year that I was pitching, interestingly enough, I used to wear reading glasses when I pitched because I just flip everybody off. I didn't mean to, because I could look around, but I couldn't see the audience, like they were fuzzy, and that made me feel better.
Yes.
So, but once I shed those, I still get nervous. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, if you're listening right now and you're thinking, I'm really nervous to speak, you might be confusing nerves with excitement. I mean, truly,
yeah.
because even if people that have been speaking for decades, my dad is 81 and he has been speaking for 48 years. Okay. And a lot of times people think that they're nervous, but you're really excited, and excited is a good thing. And if you didn't feel anything, then then that probably would mean you shouldn't be doing it. Right. Because you're not going to be very passionate about what you're talking about. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it really is. So tell us a little bit about your don't compete, create, because I love this concept. It sort of goes along with the market research that I tell our people to do.
Okay, so don't compete. So the saying is don't compete, create. And that was originally stated by Earl Nightingale. If you've heard of, he's the Dean of Personal Development from 50 years ago. Excuse me, probably more than that.
Probably more than that, I think.
Probably more than that. Wait, I think it was 1957. So yeah, we're like 60, 70 years ago. And the point is, don't compete, create, find out what everyone else is doing and don't do it. Let me say that again. Don't compete, create, find out what everyone else is doing and don't do it. And I learned that from my dad, who I have a business with my dad, Joel Weldon, and he has followed that because he learned it from Earl Nightingale. So then he taught it to me. So one of the ways, there's all different ways. If you're thinking, well, what do you mean find out what everyone else is doing and don't do it? It could be little things, right? It could be, for instance, well, for me, what I did was all the other comedians or humor speakers were being introduced as a comedian. So the audience is expecting it. Well, that was causing friction. It was a challenge because, like I said, it didn't always go over as great as I wanted it to. And I'm not a Jim Gaffigan or a Amy Schumer level of comedian, right? And so I figured out, okay, and I don't also want to be an ordinary speaker because I like to use humor. I don't want to just be a inspirational speaker. So I found out what everyone else is doing in the speaking world and didn't do it. And then I found out what everyone else is doing in the comedy world and I didn't do that. And it took some time, and then I kind of came up with my own way. But you could do the same thing. I had some other little examples, like a lawyer, right? You figure out first how you do it is you figure out what is the challenge, what is not working. So let's say a lawyer, everyone knows that one of the things that people don't like as a client when you have a lawyer is you get billed for every phone call that you have with them, right? So maybe a lawyer could do, I don't know, no fee phone calls. Maybe they charge more up at the front end, but they don't nickel and dime you for every phone call. Another example, dentists, right? Dentists, no one likes going to the dentist. So can a dentist find, and these were stories that I've read, a fun way, a singing dentist, something fun so that it gets the patients to be a little less dreading going to see them. My daughter works for a restaurant. It's called Oregano's. We're here in Phoenix, Arizona. She's 18. My daughter works for a restaurant called Oregano's Pizza Bistro. They have Italian food, salads, pizzas. And they did something smart. I'm guessing it was they figured out what everyone else is doing and they didn't do it. And that was, they get a lot of families coming in, a lot of young kids, right? And so that if young kids are like starving and they're fussing, then the parents aren't happy. So when they come out to like get your drink order, they bring out a tray with like raw dough and they give the kids dough to play with, and it keeps the kids busy and happy. Yeah, it creates probably a big mess, but it keeps them happy. And so the kids are happy, the parents are happy. It could be little things like that. Like, okay, what's the problem? they're having to wait for the food. The kids are throwing a fit. Let's try to occupy the kids. And, this is a low budget solution. So, do you want one more? Do you want one more example?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I love this.
Okay. The other one was, you go to networking events, especially virtual ones. And, you see everyone on camera and they go in order and everyone does their little 30-second commercial and it's long and you kind of wonder like, what do they do? Right. They all kind of start sounding the same.
Yes.
And so before I came up with Undercover Speaker, I came up with a BS, a fake business, just again, because you're really just trying to get people's attention, right? I mean, just like as a reader, as an author, if you don't get your readers' attention, they're not going to continue reading the book, right? Mm-hmm. And so you already know that. But so I said, I'm the CEO and founder of It's a Crummy Life. We sell breadcrumbs, white wheat, sourdough, soon to be marble rye. People these days, they're just not willing to eat a full slice of bread. So breadcrumbs, they aren't just for ducks. And then
You're not supposed to feed ducks breadcrumbs.
Oh, well, there.
I live on a river out here. I know.
Yeah. Now, and then I always say, now you might be thinking this woman is ducking crazy. And I kind of am, and then I would tell them it's fake. And people are like, wait, and you're really just trying to get that head tilt, like, wait, what? And then they lean in like, is she serious? But it kind of went with what I was doing. I've also, for all of you authors out there, I've also said I own a book business. We partner with Amazon, and we will send it's an anonymous book business. So we send anonymous books to people, specifically maybe your clients or your exes that need to get a hint. Okay, so some of our popular book titles are How Your Controlling Personality is Controlling Your Genitals, or Affecting Your Genitals, excuse me.
I do like that one. There are a lot of people who need to read that book.
What Your Dog Thinks of Your Small Salary, right? And so I just kind of ramble off a bunch of fake titles. And then I say, okay, no, I'm just kidding, and then I say, but that's kind of what I do. I basically lie to the audience and make them think something. And then once the cat is out of the bag, we talk about the benefits of laughter. And they go, oh, okay, I get it. So.
Love that, because anytime you have an audience that's laughing, they are far more open to any information that you give them versus, have you ever been in a room where other people think they're an expert at what you are and they're really uptight and they're determined that they're not going to like what you have to say. So yeah, I love that. Love it. So if someone wanted to work with you, where would we find you? And what exactly do you do when you work with people? Or do you work with anybody? Do you just have a fake business there?
Do you work is the question.
Well, I have a business, but I wouldn't say I work now.
Right. So there's two ways. One is some companies hire me because they are like, our meetings are boring. We've got this long training, got this whole day of really intense information. We got to get our audience to like energize and stay engaged. And our mental health is like declining, and the company culture, we got some, we need some fun. So that's one way that I work with people. And then the other way is if, like you said, you're an author, you want to do some speaking and you want some help getting coached in how to make your message more clear, more engaging, add some humor. Just as a side note, when you speak, one of the biggest objections people have as speakers, or even maybe authors, right? I'm afraid to use humor because I don't want to offend my audience. And we know how easily people these days are offended, right?
Exactly. I was going to mention that because a lot of what I do is self-deprecating humor. If you listen to me, you'd think I'm the stupidest person on the planet.
But that's a really smart choice. And people are very hesitant to use humor because they go, well, what if it doesn't, or cultural, we've got international people and I'm concerned that I'm going to say something and they're not going to get it, or it's going to offend the audience, or I'm talking to women and I don't want to be whatever, or I'm talking to men. And so, which is a valid concern. So there are ways that you can use humor whether you're writing or whether you're speaking. And that is, like you just said, the easiest, safest way is self-deprecating humor, right? No one's going to, Zoom is great because you can't tell how tall or short people are, but I'm like on a good day, I'm just 5 feet.
She's a midget. No.
Yeah, And
Wait a minute, was that politically incorrect? I probably just
You know what? I actually was told don't ever use that word. I was like, but if you're short, can't you? Whatever. And so I can make comments about me being short because I'm making fun of myself. My dad, he's 81. When he speaks, he makes fun of how old he is. Nobody is going to say, I was really offended by the fact that, you commented on yourself. No, nobody's going to, at least I've never seen that. So whatever, you can do self-deprecating humor, like you said, you can also tell stories, as you're writing as an author, that's pretty much all you're doing is you're telling stories. You can add humor to your stories, and it doesn't have to be a lot of humor. It could just be sprinkled in, like seasoning. And there's easy ways to do that. And so if somebody needs help with that, I can help them with their speaking and adding humor. So love LinkedIn. Uh-huh. Yeah. LinkedIn's probably, are we doing links or anything after on this post, or?
We certainly can, because you can give something away free when we get to the end of it. But okay. I love that you help people do that. So I have a question for you, probably really out of the blue. Can you help somebody with no sense of humor get a sense of humor?
That's a great question. And, that actually, when people say, oh, I want to be funny, I want to be a funny speaker, but I just I don't think I'm a funny person. Now, just like being an author, you weren't born an author, right? That's a learned skill.
Right.
Humor is a learned skill. You're not, yes, some people, they have a talent for whatever, but it is a skill. And so the easiest way to become even funnier is to have a good sense of humor. And you might be wondering, well, how do I get a good sense of humor? Some people think I got a great sense of humor, but they really don't.
Right. Right? Even after a couple shots, they don't have one.
Right.
We're not recommending that you drink on stage here, by the way.
Right. Yeah. And so that's really that's such a good point. The first step is you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. You've just got to be able to laugh at yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you're wondering, how do you do that? Think about, so maybe this will help. The definition of comedy, based on what comedians say, it is pain plus time equals comedy. Pain plus time equals comedy. Now, I'm not talking about a death of a love, like a tragic death. I'm talking, you broke your leg when you were 23, probably pretty painful. Mm-hmm. But now that you're 47, time has passed. You probably have some good stories about that, and you can laugh about it.
Yes.
Right? You got divorced, and it was super painful and very hard. But now 9 years has gone by, and, you can look back and you can hopefully, there's something you can laugh about that. So, parenting. I mean,
Oh gosh.
think about, think of all the times, as I said, my daughter's 18. And when she was about 8, we were driving the school carpooling. If you've ever driven a school carpool, it's the most stressful thing in the world, right? And we were running late and I was all stressed out. And she's 8 years old and she goes, Mom. And I said, yeah. And she goes, wow, with that sunlight coming in through the window. And I said, yeah. And she said, I can see all the hair on your chin.
Ouch.
Ouch. Okay. So, that was pretty painful at the time, but now time has passed, right? And I'm now shaving, plucking, whatever. And I can, we can laugh about it. We can laugh about it. So hopefully that will help you. Remember that you can kind of laugh about things after time has gone by. So that's the first step. You look at old yearbook photos, old photos of your hair, your clothing. You can laugh about that. Watch funny movies. Watch, there's so many funny like Instagram and TikTok and all these funny reels that people share, funny memes. Just those little things, start looking and sharing those. You start to kind of giggle, and it's like a muscle. It will start getting stronger. You'll start thinking more things are funny. And then what will happen is you will be able to find the humor in almost anything.
Yeah.
And that is more than just for business or like, oh, it makes me feel good. That literally can save your life if you can laugh about something and lighten up, because life's hard.
You know what, it is, and that is a skill, to be able to look back over something that happened years ago. I mean, if you're an optimist, this is easy because it's like, oh, I survived. But if you're not, if you really take yourself too seriously, you could get in a lot of trouble with that. And I have tons of stuff just like you do. That is brutal about the chin. But yeah. So where can we find you? You mentioned over on LinkedIn, and you have something to give us today too, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm going to give it's a 5-minute video snippet. And if you need a laugh, or you're feeling really stressed out, or you're just not sure about whether you have a sense of humor, I promise you this little 5-minute video snippet that we're going to share you're going to really love it. And I'll tell you, it was when I was pretending to be an animal energy healing expert.
Oh my God. I have to tell you, I went on the Venice Art Walk when I worked at Shy Day, and there was actually someone in the bus with us that was that was their job.
Animal energy healing expert?
Animal energy healing. And she called herself a psychic too. And she was telling us about this horse she was talking to. And of course it's Venice, California. And we're in the back of the bus and we're like, is she for real, or is she just like the crazy tent person who lives on the beach? But it was her actual business.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is not so much working with animals. It's teaching you and the people on the call that they'll see on this video that you can tap into your inner land and sea animal, and to help you de-stress. And you'll see people on the call. It was a virtual call. You'll see them practicing breathing through their gills, and also practicing breathing through their turtle butt.
Is that the way turtles breathe?
Well, turtles breathe through their cloaca. It's really it's a real thing. It's a hole in their rear. And so I teach the audience how to breathe. It's not ideal, but how they can breathe through their cloaca. And I told you, people will believe anything.
I know a few people that I think do breathe that way. So where do we find this butt breathing video?
Okay, so is that something that we can put in the show notes or something?
Absolutely.
Okay,
we will.
so I'll
We're
send
not
that
missing
to
that.
Okay, they can put that in there. or they can watch it that way. Yeah.
Where would we find it at?
Well, you don't want me to just send you the link and you put it in there?
Sure you can. Yeah, sure you
Okay,
can.
we'll just do it that way. It's simple,
Okay, cool.
super simple.
All right, so look at the show notes in order to find out where to do that. Jenny, thank you so much for being on today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. And I got one more. I got one little quote for you. I got two quotes about laughter. One is, laughter is a lot like a windshield wiper. It doesn't stop the rain, but it allows you to keep going.
There you go.
Okay, that's like a serious one. And then this one is, you'll probably like this one better. And that is, laughter is a smile that had an orgasm.
I do like that one.
Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of orgasms today.
There you go. Thank you, Jenny, so much for being on today.
Bye-bye. Thank you.